Guys, Drifter here. Welcome to Fortnite In Depth. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about pistols. We're doing a mega episode and covering 3 pistols: the regular pistol, the revolver, and the good old Desert Eagle or hand cannon. Of note, we won't be talking about the suppressed pistol. I felt that one was special enough to warrant its own episode, so that one is linked down there below if you want to check it out, but we'll be talking about everything else. And if you see some white text and the Discord logo below the health and shield bars down there, do keep a note that clip was sent in through the Discord community. It's linked up there on the screen, but we take fan clips for every single in-depth episode, and you're welcome to contribute from any platform. But let's talk about pistols. And a lot of you are probably already wondering, why even bother with pistols in depth? Who cares? Nobody uses them. I don't think that's true. I think that pistols, while they're only really good early game, but mastering them can save your life. It's extremely important to where if you land and all you get's a revolver, if all you get is the gray pistol, if you got nothing but a Deagle and 7 shots, you need to know how to work those weapons and the best strategies for them. So I'm going to be going through that on today's In Depth. Let's start off with the small regular plain Jane pistols. The body damage on those is 23 for gray, 24 for green, and 25 for blue, though I will admit you will find very few blue pistols on this map. The headshot damage is a simple doubling. It's 46 for the gray one, 48 for the green one, and 50 for the blue one. So you can tell that headshots with these pistols are extremely effective, and I feel that this particular pistol received an overall nerf during the first shot's accuracy. They used to be 2.5 times damage, so they could all 2-shot to the head. Now that is no longer the case. So if you pick up a green or gray pistol early game and you run into another enemy that just has a regular 100 health and no shields, it'll take 3 headshots to kill them or 5 body shots, which is more than most people are comfortable with, but with a 16-round magazine, you'll probably be able to hit those shots. However, if you've been fortunate enough to pick up a blue pistol, you'll kill them in 2 headshots or 4 body shots. So picking up pistol tiers does matter, especially when you elevate to blue. The blue pistol is quite good. All the pistols, the regular ones, fire at 405 rounds per minute. That's the same as the suppressed pistol, and that's actually faster than any of the automatic rifles in the game. The pistols firing at that rate of fire makes them one of the faster firing weapons if your trigger finger is good enough, and I think most people are, and most people can spam at that rate. When you're looking at this DPS wise, you've got 155 on gray, 162 on green, and 169 on blue. So a pretty straightforward staggering right there. And I think that the best method, the best thing to do for these gray pistols is to rely on their hip fire, because they have surprisingly good hip fire that isn't hurt very much by high mobility. You can run, jump, kind of spray, spin around, and it doesn't really hurt the hip fire on the pistol that much. Obviously, over the shoulder, standing still, you'll get better aim. You can do the first shot's accuracy thing, but most of the time you'll be using this up close because I feel that it's best used as a spammy shotgun alternative. The nature of relatively low damage of the weapon doesn't make it great for long-range fights, and the hip fire is wide enough at its normal point where you're going to have a hard time hitting people at range without the first shot's accuracy, but it's tight enough to where when people get up close, you can spam really quickly, and you can squeeze out a lot of body shots, and if you mix in 1 or 2 headshots, the enemy is almost certain to go down regardless of how much shield they have. It can be extremely effective up close. I can't tell you how many shotgun users I've killed with the regular pistols because they thought, this guy's just got a pistol, what's he going to do about it? And they'd turn the corner and I'd headshot him twice super quick and be done with it. Very good shotgun alternative. Unfortunately, after early game, they're not really useful. When you get a shotgun, use the shotgun instead of the pistol. It's an alternative for a reason instead of just being the way. Stick with the shotgun, stick with the TAC SMG. Don't use the regular pistols if you have to, but if you do have to, try to get close and spam people. Our middle child today is going to be the most hated weapon in the entire game for most players. It's the one thing you don't want to be stuck with when you land, and that's the revolver. Lots of hate for the revolver because it's a very fluky weapon. I do think this one was made much better in the first shots update because it helps get you a guaranteed 1 hit on people, and the reset is pretty quick, whereas previously the bloom or hip fire was so wide that no matter how still you sat, it was still a very unreliable weapon. But the gray revolver will deal 54 damage per shot, quite high. The green revolver will deal 57 damage per shot, and the blue one will deal a staggering 60 damage per shot. I don't see too many blue revolvers, Revolvers, but I do pick them up when I can, at least when I'm doing in depth. The blue one is surprisingly nasty, and it's closer in damage to that of the Desert Eagles. However, based just on these numbers here, it's pretty straightforward to tell that all revolvers are going to deal over 100 damage for headshots, and if that's the case, if you're fighting people with no shields early on, that pretty much means in the early game, revolvers almost always kill in 2 hits to the body or 1 hit to the head. That is against an unshielded enemy. If you run into an enemy with shields, it could take 3, sometimes maybe 4 to the body if you're having a rough day, or multiple headshots, which makes this gun almost useless given its less than ideal reload and rate of fire. Revolver reload times are very, very slow. The gray one reloads in 2.4 seconds, the green one in 2.3 seconds, and the blue one much faster than the rest at 2.2. Well, not really much faster. It's still over 2 seconds of downtime, and that is super frustrating when you've only got 6 shots, when the gun isn't naturally very accurate unless you stand perfectly still, when you absolutely have to hit your shots with big delays in the middle, and you're pretty much going to die when you reload. That makes this an extremely difficult gun to use, and there's a reason that people don't like it. To be honest with you, I don't like it. One of the biggest reasons is it fires at 54 rounds per minute. All the tiers of the revolver only fire at 54 RPM. That's less than 1 shot per second, and it's insanely slow. Sometimes you'll be doing good with the revolver, and you'll get a nice chunky body shot on somebody for 54, and you're like, all right, just one more easy body shot and I got it. And it just seems like it takes forever for the next shot to come while they rush you, and it's very, very frustrating. However, I do feel that this weapon was effectively buffed a lot after the first shot accuracy patch. Now, most of these weapons, it's not quite like that. The headshot damage went down significantly. It no longer does 2.5 headshot damage. Previously, you could drop people that had like 150 health in one shot, which was nice, but your hip fire was always wider than it needs to be, and it was always very fluky. Now with the revolvers, you can stand still for maybe a quarter of a second, just a very, very small fraction of a second. It'll snap down to perfect accuracy, and you can get that one perfect accuracy hit scan shot on people, and that makes these guns much more effective. They're sort of like long-range snipers when used like that, or maybe close-range surprise weapons, and you'll need good aim to use my recommended strategy, which is just to go for the perfect accuracy headshots. Stand still briefly, crouch, whatever, just let it go perfectly centered, and go for headshots on people. You can go for body shots if they're too close, if they're jumping, if you need to, but getting revolver headshots will put people in their place. However, this is still mostly early game. You could use it a little bit more late game as an alternative sniper rifle, maybe just for jokes, but I really wouldn't go for it. This is an early game strategy, and you're going to want to throw away your revolver just about as soon as possible. However, you're not going to want to throw away your Desert Eagles. I have a love-hate relationship with this gun, mostly on the hate side, but it can be quite good. If you pick up a Desert Eagle, or Deagle as we'll call it here, hand cannon, the purple one will deal 75 damage, and the gold one will deal 78 damage. Not a big difference between the two, especially when you look at headshot damage. It's 150 on purple and 156 on gold. This is, however, a ton of damage for a pistol. It's more in line with a sniper rifle, and kind of like the revolvers, I do feel that the Deagles were assisted with the first shot's accuracy thing. Previously, you would get a headshot and it would deal like 185 damage, which was really, really hype, but you'd still need a second shot to kill the person. Usually, if they don't die at 150, they're not going to die at 180. However, with this, you can sit still for a second and get the very nice, like, high accuracy shots, or you can spam them. So let's look at shots to kill. Any Desert Eagle against any opponent with just 100 health will kill in 1 headshot or 2 shots to the body, but do keep in mind that first shot to the body is going to send them to the suffering zone. They're just going to hurt a lot. If they have 150 health or 100 health, 50 shield, it's still just 1 headshot or 2 shots to the body. So tons of damage on this one, and if they have a full 200 maximum health with shield, that's going to be 2 headshots or just 3 body shots. It does not take very many Desert Eagle shots to make people hurt, so anytime you hit somebody with this weapon, do keep in mind they noticed it. They should start panicking. Unfortunately, if you think the revolvers were slow, the Desert Eagles fire at a painfully slow 48 rounds per minute. That's like slower than my grandmother trying to pay for her driver's license in pennies at the DMV. It's just awful, awful, awful slow. There's huge delays between your shots. This is more in line with the pump shotgun, which is why a lot of people use them as shotgun alternatives, because the timing is pretty similar. And I do think that the Deagles are best used like the revolver. Really, they are. You want to wait and go for the long range, perfect accuracy hit scan headshot. That's a great strategy. It works really well, especially hitting people in the head. However, the hip fire on them is a bit tighter, and the base damage is a bit higher, I think they're also okay up-close shotgun alternatives. If you get close to people, you can point blank them with relatively good accuracy, and especially if you get a headshot in, they're probably going to die instantly. Deagles can be surprisingly nasty up close. The Deagle Bloom, however, does require you to be close, and not medium and not long. Unless you're getting the first shots, don't use it like this. I found it to be very fluky, which is why before the first shots update, I was having a really hard time getting my Deagle shots. Now I just kind of barrel stuff people. So make sure you get pretty close so you can land your shots. And the Deagle isn't the best weapon, but I think it's still the only pistol worth using late game, except the suppressed pistol. That one's fantastic all the time, but it's in its own category. I wouldn't use the plain Jane pistol. I wouldn't use the Revolver. But I definitely might keep a Deagle for late game. There's definitely better weapons than the Desert Eagle that you'll probably find, but the Desert Eagle is an acceptable alternative. Now we're finally at the end of the episode, and once again, why did you learn all of this? It's just so that it can save your life. You never know when you're going to land in Tomato Town and find nothing but a revolver. When your building in Tilted Towers has every single pistol imaginable and everybody else has shotguns, you need to know what the best strategy is to live, because these things will happen. It'll be rough, and if you have some knowledge on the best practices for pistols, you can pull out some real big upsets, and it'll turn your whole game around. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of In Depth. I hope you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.